What is going on, guys? Welcome to Sixers post-game live. The Sixers are back! Embiid is back. We are breaking down the top takeaways of the Sixers win here. Game 3. Series is now 2-1. Man, it feels good to be back. Joining me, I've got my man Sean down there at Sean_Bernard. What's up, man? What's going on?
Yeah, you said it. Sixers are back. Joel Embiid is back. The stars were in the building. At the moment, just felt right tonight, and it was awesome. Sixers needed this win. The series is now just starting with Embiid back. Blown away with how just healthy he looked today. Exceeded my expectations, and I'm thrilled with tonight.
Yeah, we're going to break it all down. And we've got my man Tiago right there at Tiago PHL. What's up, Tiago?
What's up, Chris? What's up, Sean? Joel Embiid, man. Skill tipper, man. The game changes when he's on the court. This is officially a basketball series now, man. Life's much harder for Bam Adebayo, I'll tell you that much.
Yeah, this night is about the fans, I think. Like, guys, if you're watching us live, comment, react with us, enjoy this win, because we haven't had a lot of wins here, although I like the Eagles draft. That's another podcast. But look at the Phillies. The Sixers came up big here with Joel Embiid. We're going to break every little piece down. Ben Butler says the Sixers are a different team with Embiid. He is that good. Steven says Maxi's better than Trae Young. We have Mrs. Crockpot in the house going, what's up, Sixers? Steven, funny I didn't see Trae Young figure out how to score against the Heat like this. And we've got Thomas. I think this is the first time for Thomas. If this doesn't show why Embiid is MVP, I don't know. I think we need to start out with Tyrese Maxey, because Tyrese Maxey, you look at kind of the way the first half went. It was a little sloppy here. You look at the Heat were 2 of 16 from 3, but it was still very much a game. Joel Embiid had 0 points in the third quarter. Maxey had 0 points in 16-plus minutes. I think he had 21 points here in the second half. 4 for 4 from three-point range in the fourth quarter. Maxey, the Sixers needed him to step up, and he did. He delivered, and then some. Lead us off, Tiago. What was your take on Tyrese Maxey today?
The kind of player that he is, man. He's unfazed by the moment. We've said this on multiple occasions throughout his career. It does not matter the moment, the situation. If he's struggling or not, he's the kind of guy who isn't fazed by it. He's going to step up the challenge. I thought that in that dominant fourth quarter, he was the reason why the Sixers pulled away. It was extremely impressive. A lot of it came with Embiid off the floor, which even extended the Sixers' lead over Miami, which is quite remarkable to watch. Players like that, man, you just have to tip your cap because, again, 22, in a situation like this with the season on the line. I mean, the Sixers were riding the boat there for a little bit, and just got to tip your cap off to him, man. Just a phenomenal fourth quarter by Tyrese Maxey.
Tyrese Maxey shot 7 of 8 from the field in the second half. Unbelievable. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, Tiago said a lot of it there. There was the moment in the game. As much as the Sixers held control of this one, they needed somebody to step up and take over, and it was awesome to watch Maxey do just that. Winning the non-Embiid minutes has always been such a key with this team, and it was very impressive to watch them extend tonight. Saw Doc switch up the rotation a little bit, which left a little bit more of a opportunity for this, and for Maxey to be able to step up and capitalize. Harden was awesome being aggressive early, but kind of slowed down as the game progressed, and Tyrese Maxey was the guy that stepped up and made it happen. So it was awesome to see. We're seeing him mature in front of our eyes, and he just rocks, man. He's just awesome to watch.
That's everything, man. The Sixers, really the storyline of the first 2 games was just their zero offense, bad shooting. Where was the offense going to come from? And Tyrese Maxey 100% stepped up. And that leads us into Joel Embiid and his return here in Game 3. Here is the shot chart. Not great offensively for Joel Embiid. We're not going to, but I think the biggest impact by far is how much Joel Embiid impacts the game defensively.
Yeah.
And it was noticeable from the jump. Yeah, Tiago.
Dude, that's the thing. I mean, Chris, you looked at the first 2 games. I didn't think the Sixers were like terribly offensively. But defensively, they're a disaster. I mean, they gave up something like 119 points per 100 possessions without him on the court. With Joel Embiid, man, everything changes. All that Tyler Hero playmaking nonsense we were watching the first 2 games, I think that's over. Bam Adebayo, all the stuff he was getting around the rim, like those little floater jump shots, that's over. Those alley-oops, that's over. So you see how all that changes with Joel Embiid on the court. There's no more DeAndre Jordan drop coverage. There's no like Paul Reed 5,002 minutes nonsense. And that's why he's there, man. This series changes when he's on the court and it starts defensively. I think offensively, we're going to see him hopefully get more in rhythm, but this is really, really good news for Sixers fans. I mean, you really saw how much impact he has on a team against Miami.
I don't know about you guys, but I was doing laps around my basement living room just after that Joel Embiid N1 through contact with Bam in the fourth quarter. Man, that was a great bucket, man. What about you, Sean? What's your take on Joel Embiid?
Yeah, and in addition to the defense, even just the way Miami defended the Sixers changed so much in this one. Like, we saw them packing the paint, doubling when he didn't even have the ball yet, like just completely preventing him from getting it and opening everything up. I mean, Danny Green was the prime beneficiary of that tonight. 7 of 9 from 3.
We're going to get there. We're going to get there, man.
Yeah. But Embiid opening all that up, forcing the Heat to pack the paint, just changed everything. It helped the offense click so much more fluent. And just like his presence alone changed everything. So he is that magnitude of superstar. It was awesome to have him back.
Yeah. Let's go to some comments real quick, guys. Keep them coming. Keep them coming, man. The Sixers are back. Love it, man. Ben Butler says Danny Green is lights out. We are going to get there. Legends of Philly says Danny Green was the MVP of this game. Biggest difference was we made our threes. I would say 60% was because of law of averages. We are getting that looks, man. The shots fell tonight, led by pretty much Danny Green and our starting lineup, man, stepping up big in the second half. Steven says the lineup Glenn put on the floor at the end of the first quarter almost took the starch out of that good start. We got a lot of comments. My goodness. Chris says getting Embiid out of the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left was huge, although he did kind of fall to the ground there holding his face. I was a little nervous. Like he looked shaken, man. He looked a little shook for sure. What was Tobias's stat line here? Tobias was, let me just pull this up. He had 9 points, but he did have a huge three-pointer in the fourth quarter. That was part of that Sixers run, man. I can't deny that.
He flirted with a triple-double, too. 9 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists. There was a little bit of everything from Tobias tonight. Thought he did a good job defensively again.
He's been awesome. Quinn says he was really struggling there, like less than 10 feet to start the game. The shots just weren't falling, and there was a time when he like had Tyler Hero posted up and it didn't fall. But that's not what we've seen from Tobias throughout these playoffs. Quinn says Doc is probably trying to steal some minutes with bench players at the end of the first quarter. All right, we got to talk about, I think, the hero of the game, and that is Danny freaking Green, man. What was he, like 7 of 8 from 3 in this game? There is his shot chart. Sean, lead us off, man. The shots weren't falling in games 1 and 2. It was really bad. The wide open shots were there. What were the stats? They were 4 of 20 from wide open shots from 3 in the first 2 games. Danny Green stepped up and then some. What was your take on Danny Green tonight?
Yeah, I mean, he was awesome. Some of it is, I think, really just kind of the law of averages in terms of how bad he was the first 2 games. Shot 1 of 5 in game 1, 1 of 9 from 3 in game 2, 14% on 2 of 14 there. To flip that around and go 7 from 9, I mean, he got booed coming into the game today during announcements. And to have a game, I'm sure feels great for Danny. It was the full Danny Green experience tonight. We saw the couple of stupid passes, a couple where he just forgets how to play basketball real quick. But for the most part, he was just awesome. He's a necessary piece in this offense in terms of what he does with spacing, being able to connect on those corner threes. His off-ball movement, I thought, was great, and he played a super valuable role tonight. So having that guy next to Joel that's willing to just sling it is huge, and we saw him step up.
Yeah, we talk about how impactful Joel Embiid's presence means for these shooters. There it is. I mean, although the Sixers were absolutely nothing from the corners in games 1 and 2, 5 of 5. What about you, Tiago?
My favorite Danny Green thing is the passes that he makes. They're absolutely absurd. I keep a collection of it on Twitter if you guys ever want to check it out throughout the course of the year. I just snip his absolute worst passes. He had one today, he sailed over Thibault's head. I froze in the stands. It was great. Nah, I mean, the Heat, man, they're very intentional about what they want to do. They want to pack the paint. They have completely taken away the Joel pick and roll game. They're not letting Joel dive. They're flating guys right straight into the paint. And what that does, man, that opens up the corners. You saw Tobias in the corner. You saw Danny Green in the corner. Like Sean said, he's got a tremendous feel for how to relocate. He's a tremendously smart basketball player. And he benefits as a result, man. When you got 2-3 guys packed in the paint, he's going to be wide open. The Sixers did a great job getting him looks tonight. Tobias had 8 assists in the game, and a lot of those Danny Green looks came off Tobias, attacking the paint and just kicking it back out, playing under control. So, I mean, you knew it was going to come around, man. Danny Green is too good of a shooter to go cold for an entire series, and tonight was his night.
The last kind of piece I want to talk about is just the overall team defense. I mean, you held the Miami Heat to 79 points. I mean, just look at rebounding alone. They out-rebounded the Miami Heat here. Looking at it, 43. It was 51-43, especially at that first quarter. They were getting after it, man. The effort was better. It was a sloppy game, don't get me wrong. But you look at kind of like the main stars of the Sixers, man. It wasn't great, but especially by the core. But you look at DG, like he's not going to play like that every single game. But there's definitely reasons for optimism. So my question is like, Sean, like what was your thought on the overall team defense and what does it mean with Embiid's presence there for the rest of the series?
Yeah, I mean, Embiid changes everything on both sides of the ball. Looking at the Sixers defense, I mean, they allowed 17 points in the first quarter, 17 in the second, 31 in the third, and then 14 in the third. So to hold the Heat to 17 or under points in 3 out of the 4 quarters is pretty crazy, and especially considering like how much they struggle defensively without Embiid. And obviously it isn't purely down to Joel, but a lot of it can be attributed to it. Like the way he anchors this entire defense, that's what makes him so valuable to this team. It's very rare that there's Giannis is really the only other guy I think is comparable in terms of what he does on both ends to the team. And we just saw that tonight. Everything changed with him in there. The entire outlook of tonight, the feel of tonight was different because of it. And I mean, defensively is, I thought, where it started right from the opening tip tonight. I thought they kicked it into full gear and it was awesome. It worked.
Bam Adebayo was 0 of 3 from the field in the paint tonight. 0 of 3. If that's not an MVP, like, I don't know what it is, man. Just Joel Embiid took Bam out of this game 100%.
Yeah.
The Heat don't really have traditional shot creation either. I mean, you say maybe Jimmy Butler. It's kind of a little bit like their point guard creator. Kyle Lowry doesn't look healthy. Doesn't look like he's going to be much of a factor. At least not tonight. He wasn't. They have to do a lot to create open shots. You see them like running around, backdoor screens. There's a lot going on there, and if the Sixers are connected defensive like they were tonight, especially with Joel Embiid, and particularly Matisse Thybulle, he's another guy that played pretty well tonight. If those two guys play considerably, Heat are gonna have a tough time scoring, man, because they don't have, outside of maybe Jimmy Butler, don't really have another kind of like go-to guard, right? So we'll see. I mean, I that's why I love the matchup. That's why I picked the Sixers and 6 to start the series before Embiid went out. Now I think Sixers can win it in 7, but you see how it becomes really, really hard for Miami when the Sixers are full strength.
It's really crazy, man. I mean, if you needed any more reason to see why Joel Embiid is the MVP, like there it is. Like it's like you saw it, I think, from the first quarter. Like from the first quarter, everything the Sixers were missing was right there. The Sixers were 7 of 8 from the free throw line. Bam had 1 point and 1 turnover. The Sixers, although they had four turnovers in the last like 90 seconds of the quarter, they were +9 in rebounding. Like it is just so remarkable how better they are with Embiid on the court, man. It just is what it is. Let's go to some comments. Steven says, I honestly think Toronto made us a better team and better equipped to deal with Miami's staunch defense and rotations and switches. Chris says, if we get to the Eastern Conference final, whoa. I'm not even going to let's not even go there, man. Let's not even go there. Let's win game 4 and then we'll talk. No, I probably won't even answer that question in game 4 if we win. Steven says, I feel like if we lose game 4, we can still take this to 7. Quentin does agree that Toronto made us better, but disagrees that We need to win game 4. We hunted Tyler Hero on offense and on D. Tiago, any comments on that? Because that's the one difference between Toronto and Miami is that Miami does have some areas the Sixers can exploit.
Yes, that is really important. The Sixers did that to start the fourth quarter with Harden, and they played Hero off the floor. Like, Hero went to the bench after a couple possessions. He's one of the guys that cannot stay in front of Harden. If they attack that matchup, the Sixers should get a ton of offense through James and through other shooters. So I thought it took a long time for the Sixers to identify the matchup. They struggled for most of the 3 quarters creating offense. But like Steven said, once they attacked Hero, man, it were easy buckets after easy buckets. I'm hoping that Doc records that on his little notebook that he has on the sideline. So.
What about you, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, Tyler here, comparing the Raptors and Heat, the difference is kind of the Raptors have such an identity as a team and what they have for mold of guys. The Heat are more scattered in terms of they have guys that are shooters, they have guys that defend, and when it doesn't like match up quite like that, the Sixers are the same way from that roster construction aspect. But what that means to an opponent is like there are those weaknesses to circle and to exploit. And Tyler Hero is by far the number one. Like that comes with a lot of guys that are talented scorers that you get that trade-off defensively, but Tyler Hero is certainly at the top of the list. And I thought he does a great job deterring the Sixers from playing zone defense. His shooting's pretty much their counter to that. But the Sixers, I guess, attack mode is going at him defensively, and that's something they need to continue utilizing.
And another interesting player to talk about tonight was James Harden. Here's James Harden's shot chart. Not great, especially from 3-point range. I don't think this tells the full story. I don't think it tells the full story, at least for me. What was your take, Tiago? Because like when Harden was on the bench, the Sixers offense got worse. Like what was your stance?
Yeah, I mean the shooting is what it is, man. He just doesn't have that step back down consistently. I think that the Sixers don't do a good enough job of attacking matchup advantage on his end. Like they call a lot on screens where Bam Adebayo gets switched up on Harden. And it's tough to create shooting space off a step back when you got Bam in your face. Bam is the best switchable center in the NBA, period. So I wish the Sixers would attack different matchups with Harden. I wish that Harden like embraced more as an off-the-ball shooter. He's a really good spot-up shooter. But when the ball swings his way, he tends to hesitate and dribble and get into his own offense. So, but I think, like you said, Chris, I think the overall story on Harden is that when he's on the court with the starters, the Sixers are a dominant group. And he plays an absolute big role in that. The Sixers have the best starting lineup in the playoffs with Harden, with Embiid, and those guys. So I think if you zoom out and look at the big picture, it's working. Don't ask me how it's working entirely because that's not a pretty picture. But like you said, they need him on the ball, creating and orchestrating the offense. And he's done that masterfully today, I thought, once again.
I think it's almost like the same things we say with Tobias. It's almost like the same things we used to say with Ben. Like when James Harden is being aggressive, the Sixers look damn good. What's your take, Sean?
Yeah, I mean, I thought early on in this game, he was terrific. He looked aggressive. He had 15 points in the first half. He was capitalizing. And another difference between just kind of what we talked about with Tyler Hero, that Raptors series, there wasn't a switch that Harden had an advantage on. Every single guy on that court was capable of swallowing him up. For this Heat team, there are guys that there is. Tyler Hero's one. There's guys that you can switch on and get him the advantage. Bam is not one of them. But he needs to do a better job of continuing with that. I agree about the spot-up shooting. He looks very awkward trying to do a catch-and-shoot three. You can tell he just wants to do his dribble and step back every single time. But when he does shoot it, like the one he shot today, the one that he did make today, 1 for 7, was one that he like looked awkward shooting, but still went in. And if you just can get used to doing that more, it's so like weird because it feels like such a basic like NBA skill set, but it's something he struggles with. He ended with 7 turnovers, which was disappointing. He's not the James Harden that we hoped, but he's still an incredibly useful player on the Sixers team. He sets up everything, does a lot of behind the scenes. I think he's an even higher IQ passer and runs the offense in a more advanced way than we ever saw with Ben. So I'm still thrilled to have him on the team. It's disappointing that the offense isn't being as consistent, but overall, he's still been pretty good.
Plus 27 today, Chris. Plus 27.
I was just about to say that, Tiago.
Sorry, so your thunder, man. But that's insane. That tells you the player that he is, man.
Led the team.
I'm looking at this box score, and it's unbelievable, man. Like he had 17 points on. He only had 4 made field goals. He had 6 assists to 7 turnovers, 1 of 7 from 3, and he was a plus 27. Like you said, Tiago, I don't know how that works, but the dude is getting it done somehow, and I'll take it. I'll take that 10 times out of 10. It's absolutely insane. Let's get to some comments. Quinn says, I don't believe Doc can win 3 in a row. He's referring back to game 4, I believe. Let's go on to Quinn says, tweet the hero mismatch to Doc and I'll retweet. Making hero play D should deplete him offensively as well. I fully agree. The Heat benefit from teams that shoot themselves in the foot. We are prone to do so. I just think, the Sixers, how many turnovers did they have? Like 18? It was great. 18 turnovers in this game. So by no means did the Sixers play well in this one. Even their stars, it was fine. They pulled it out, led by Tyrese Maxey, especially in that second half. Quinn says Harden is no longer a max player, but he can still help us win. Steven says Harden slowly changing his game to attack angles instead of the basket. Not going to blow by anyone, but he can still get people off balance. That is what I see him learning. Kevin says, that's a win. The Phantom returns makes me so happy. Game 4, here we come. And go the Phantom. So, before we get into player of the game, does anybody else have any other take from this win?
That was pretty much it. I will give Matisse a quick shout out. For a guy that's been a non-factor for this entire playoffs, played 20 minutes tonight. I thought he was pretty good, active defensively, made some things happen, got too easy around the basket, finished a little floater and a dunk. So glad to see him bounce back. It's not easy to just kind of get thrown in there when you're cold. So happy to see him making a little bit of an impact again.
Yeah, I got it.
What about you, Tiago? Any takes?
Yeah, I got one. What is going on through PJ Tucker's head, man? What is this guy on?
He's just looking for a fight there.
Yeah, he was trying to send a message.
And Matisse and Tobias are like 2 of the most even-keeled guys like around the league. Like to get them all riled up is something.
Oh my god! I mean, the guy. I would love for my team. Make no mistake about it. But it's like just bring it down, like one little notch, man. He's a nightmare on the offensive glass, man. I would not want to try to defend him or box him out. He's an absolute nightmare, man.
All right, let's get into player of the game. Lead us off, Sean. Who is your player of the game?
I hate to steal him, but it's Joel Embiid for me. I mean, everything absolutely changed when just his presence, the feeling that he was there, the mask, all the antics and the everything that came into this one. It just felt like tonight was made to be. He changed everything on both sides of the court. Wasn't his best overall game, but he looked healthier than I even expected him to look. Played 36 minutes, which they didn't put a hard cap on his minutes limit, but that was more than I personally expected him to play. So I was thrilled with what I saw and gave me some hope in the series again. I was happy to see it.
All right, Joel Embiid for Sean. What about you, Tiago?
Yeah, I'll always give my guy Danny Green a shout. As well, man. Got to give him a shot. I thought that for 3 quarters, he kind of kept the Sixers offense afloat with his shooting until Maxey got going a little bit. He was phenomenal, and he has his usual Danny Green moments. And you're like, just get this guy off the team on a bus, in an airplane, get him out of town. But thankfully tonight, he was. Those moments were very short bursts, and he played very, very well for the most part.
All right. Well, hold on. Whoops. I'm gonna share my. I have 2 player of the games. My first jokingly player of the game goes to DeAndre Jordan. Let's look at this beautiful shot chart. That's a thing of beauty right there.
I thought Doc was gonna play him. I was gonna lose my, you know what?
DeAndre Jordan, 0 minutes, 0 points, 0 rebounds, 0 assists, 0 turnovers, 0 personal fouls. That's a win in my book. I'm good for that. All right, all kidding aside, Howie Roseman gets a shout out. That was a great job. Tyrese Maxey, 21 points in the second half, 4-4 from 3 in the fourth quarter, man. Just what a moment. What a moment for Maxey. And hopefully this is a sign of things to come. Because you look at the first half, right, Tiago? Like, he's not involved in this offense whatsoever. And that bothers me. Like, his like major parts of this offense was really like a two-man game with Danny Green and setting everyone else up. And he like in transition. I need more from Tyrese Maxey. And hopefully this second half is what we're going to see in games 4, 5, 6, and 7. Tiago, any thoughts on Maxey and how Doc can get him more involved? Because it's not been happening.
So I do think, first of all, I do think that Maxey defers way too much to Embiid when he's on the court. And I think Maxey can be a little more aggressive in his own right. But I would like to see them get involved with Joel in the pick and rolls, man. Like, you have a guy, I think at one point they had Gabe Vincent defending him. If you involve Joel in that pick and roll, now you can just switch and you get Gabe Vincent on Embiid, man. That's a matchup advantage for the Sixers anytime. So I like to see a little bit more of that going on the Sixers offense. Felt like a lot of it was through Harden. But I mean, I have no fears about Maxey, man. He has proven, he has a track record now in the NBA of just stepping up. And that is priceless, man, when you have that type of like skill set in your DNA. So I don't worry too much about Maxey at all.
Do you worry at all about Maxey, Sean? Or are you good?
Yeah, not worried about him. I agree that he's too passive at times. I wish he would be more dominant. This is something that's just going to come with time for him. We still got to remember he's a 21-year-old kid that's figuring out his role playing next to Harden. I think he's going to continually take from Harden's play and pull it onto his own as the longer they are together. But he's always ready for the moment, and that's cool. It's impressive to go from 0 to 21 points in a second half of a game.
Yep.
It's Joel's team, 100%. 100%. Let's go into team grade. How would you grade tonight's performance for the Sixers and expectations for Game 4? Lead us off, Sean. Like, where does this lead into on Sunday night?
For Sunday night, I mean, I think they're in a good spot. The Sixers needed this one tonight. This was a win that they needed, a convincing win against this team. I've said pretty much throughout these first two games, I don't think this Heat team is that intimidating. If the Sixers were at full strength, I felt great going to this series before the Embiid news. It obviously stinks they're down 0-2, but we win on Sunday, which I think they will, and we're back even 2-2. As far as a grade for tonight, I'm giving this a nice B+ effort. There was a couple things to nitpick, but overall, extremely happy. I mean, seeing just both sides of the ball dominance for most of it. The game was in the Sixers' control for most of the game, even though they weren't up by that much, and to hold on to that was great to see.
100% agree. What about you, Tiago?
Yeah, man, make it a 3-game series by Sunday, right? So now you got 3 games, 2 in Miami and 1 in Philly. Does anybody think the Sixers cannot steal a game in Miami? Either Game 5 or Game 7. I feel very confident they're able to do one of those two things. So, yeah, I think the Sixers can win the series in 7. I had them in 6 before Embiid. I think they'll win it in 7. And I think for tonight, I thought offensively they were very poor for the first 3 quarters. But they were dominant late, and defensively, man, that's where I really wanted to see this series swing. I think that the Sixers can play this level of defense against Miami, they will win the series. So I'll give it a B as well.
Yeah, I think I'm in that B range as well, like B+. Yeah, B+. It was so much fun to watch Maxey light up the net there in the fourth quarter. But at the end of the day, like, they still were sloppy. There are definitely things the Sixers could absolutely improve 100%. But I'm glad to see Embiid is back, and it's just incredible how much of an impact he has on this game from an offensive standpoint, and most importantly from a defensive standpoint. So B for this game, but A for what this means for the rest of the series, because I don't know if Miami has an answer for this. That's if you're a Sixers, like, being real talk, like, I don't think Miami has an answer at all. Really, do you think Miami's going to resort to hunting Embiid in this series?
Chris, there is a narrative that Bam Adebayo is a defensive player of the year type player, and he's an unbelievable player. He's an unbelievable player. But
he was ranked. He was ranked as better than Joel last year, but in the ESPN rankings, player-wise, right, not even defensively. Like, there's a very much inflation of Bam's skill set, I would say.
Yeah. So if he wants to be a defensive player of the year type player, now he better step up, because Joel is coming, man. And you saw what Joel Embiid did to Bam's game tonight. He erased Bam from the game. He absolutely erased them. there was no Bam nothing tonight. So
Yeah. Ben says Sixers put Miami off their game. Quentin says Embiid will play better next game. Something to look forward to. It wasn't even a great offensive game from Joel either. And says Joel statue is coming soon. So a lot of reasons to be optimistic, for sure. Yeah. Anybody else have any? Let's do final thoughts and plugs, man. Lead us off, Tiago.
yeah, man. Like I said, this is all good news. We're back in this series. Bring on Boston. No, I'm just joking. We're not there yet. Yeah, and we'll keep doing this. You can find me at Tiago PHL on Twitter, and I think Chris and I were talking about doing some college scouting again for the NBA draft. We'll see if the Sixers will use their pick or not, but it's to study those guys because they do need help, man, especially on the wing. So.
For sure. Just throwing that shot chart up. It's just a thing of beauty, man. That's DeAndre Jordan's shot chart for tonight. Just gorgeous. Just want to that's chef's kiss. What about you, Sean?
Yeah, you guys can follow me on Twitter at Sean_Bernard1. You can check out my written work on Philly Sports Network and on Clutch Points. I'll have a takeaway piece coming out in the morning on tonight's game on Philly Sports Network. And also you can check out Pick Swap Podcast for my own full thoughts on Sixers podcast. Had one that dropped yesterday. So give a subscribe to that on YouTube, Pick Swap Podcast.
Make sure you go check out the Pick Swap Podcast. Check out everything here at thepaylines.com. Be sure to subscribe. Sixers get the W. Brand new series, man. Embiid is back. Brand new series. Let's freaking go. We'll see you guys on Sunday. It's going to be a freaking blast. Follow my man Sean on Twitter at Sean_Bernard1. My man Tiago there at Tiago PHL. Guys, give this video a like and subscribe. Please help us out so we can continue to grow. For Tiago, for Sean, for myself, for the Philadelphia 76ers, stay awesome, everyone.